Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. Hello friends, it's your Wednesday guy Kai, and we're talking about the biggest misconceptions in the trans male, trans man, trans masculine community, basically. And honestly, I can't believe I'm doing this because I filmed this whole video a couple days ago. And while it's good, it's good. I talk about a few misconceptions. I talk about that not all like trans men date. The misconception that like all trans men, all trans masculine people are sexually or romantically or in any way even attracted to only feminine people. So basically just this misconception that gay trans men don't exist, or asexual trans men, or that has something to do with like being a lesbian basically, and then wanting to be masculine to date girls basically. That's one misconception I talked about. And the second one was kind of the erasure of intersex bodies. So I talked about it not being something that I personally experienced because, as far as I know, as far as I know, I'm not like intersex. I've never had like, I don't know if I've ever had like my chromosomes tested, probably not. So basically just this misconception that there's just like male and female biological sex, and this erasure of these different variations across the spectrum. And upon like speaking very briefly to other members of the trans male community, trans masculine community, I know that there are people in the trans man community who don't necessarily have this strictly biological female sex, that like they don't necessarily have XY chromosomes, or they don't necessarily have what you would like, they don't have a complete absence of what we would normally associate with male genitalia or those kinds of things. I'm not like the expert on it, so I don't want to say something wrong, or something. There's like an emergency door right outside my dorm, and someone just went through it, and you get like fined if you go through it. I don't know why that just happened. But anyway, sorry if you heard that. Anyways, yeah, I'm not the expert on it, so I don't want to say something wrong, so I'm not going to like speak too much on it. But basically just this erasure of intersex bodies, I think, is a misconception that everyone perfectly fits into this definition of what we biologically say is female, what we biologically say is male. And there needs to be more awareness of the variation that can be across the human body when it comes to gender and stuff. So many noises. Wow. Alright, so anyways, those were the misconceptions I talked about in the first video. And while I think those are good and stuff, I was just about to upload it, and I thought about something else. I thought about this misconception that, and it's more about the whole trans community than just the trans male community, but anyways, this misconception that like being transgender or not fitting the gender binary is kind of a newer thing. And for one thing, it gets kind of, again, I'm not like the expert, I haven't done extensive research, I just learned a little bit about it, so I don't want to say something wrong, so I'm going to try not to say anything too specific. But if you really want to look into it, you can. There are cultures and stuff that do make room for these gender identities that don't fit the binary, and even in the past, I know like Native American culture made some certain Native American cultures made room for these people who did not necessarily fit in the perfect male or female gender category. So they were like, there were women, but what we would biologically associate with women who did the more masculine roles, married in a masculine way, stuff like that. And they actually had their own category, so they weren't really seen as like male or female, but kind of both, like people who had both kind of genders within them and stuff like that. And again, I'm not the expert, so I don't want to like speak on it too much or like say something wrong, because I don't want to put wrong information out there. But like I said, you can research it. There's certain cultures that do make room for these gender identities specifically. I know I read about one culture, and I don't know if it's past or present, but there was like a way where women would like marry, well, somehow they fit the more masculine role, but it didn't have anything really to do with them. It was because they were rich enough to buy a wife or something like that. Just there's these different definitions of like gender, and and that's the thing that kind of like in Western society there's, you know, transgender. There's no space for really, I mean, non-binary is becoming more awareness of that these days, but there's really not this space for like someone who doesn't fit one of the regular ones. You're usually seen as transgender, where you fit like you move from the female to the male or from the male to the female, whereas there's these cultures in the past and even the present who have had space for those who fit outside that binary, and it's just a very Western society thing that we don't, and that's kind of where you get this concept of being transgender. And I mean, people can identify how they want. I'm not saying because you're in one of these, if someone's in a culture where they do make space for the third category and you don't feel like you fit the third category and you feel like you're transgender and that's what you'd rather, you know, be, or that's what you like feel is better representation of who you are, then that's cool too. I'm not trying to say that like you have to be a separate category, or you can't be female to male or male to female, or you can't, you know, be born in the wrong body. I can't speak for anyone's experience except for my own. I just want the misconception I want to point out with all this is that this is not like a new thing. It's been around. The Native Americans are probably the way I can really explain how it's been around the most for a long time, because I know a little bit more about that. But even like before that, there were always people who didn't fit this binary gender, like what you would expect a normal male role or female role or gender expression or any of that. And there's always been people who even biologically didn't fit that. So just the idea that these are all new concepts and are just like people are jumping on the bandwagon of it, I think I wanted to kind of point out that misconception and kind of like, I don't know, debunk that, because it's like, no, this is something that's been around for a long time, and maybe we're just becoming more aware of it. Maybe people are more able to share their stories because of social media and the internet. Whatever the reason, I don't think that becoming more aware of it and like the variation in who we are as people and how we can express that and live our fullest lives is a bad thing. And people want to act like, oh, it's gonna break all the norms of everything. It's gonna be the end of the world basically if people start identifying as a gender not based on what parts they were born with. But that whole concept's just kind of like, I don't know, it's like, this is not a new thing. This is a thing that's been around. It's not even like as simple as people just having this part or the other, you know. There's so much variation along biology and expression and identity, and becoming more aware of that and being able to experience that and share that with other people and see other people share those sides of them, I just fail to see how that's a bad thing. And so that's all. That's kind of what I wanted to say. So anyways, thanks for watching this video, guys, and I will see you next week. Stay strong, stay safe, and stay you. I love you all. Talk to you soon. Peace.